It's 49ers Cutback podcast time. Talk about the practice report because we have several big name players coming back to practice today. It was good news for the San Francisco 49ers overall. Of course, we know Trent Williams getting his big contract, and that is overall the best news possible for the 49ers. But Trent Williams was out at practice. We don't know if he actually practiced. So we got to be clear on that. I don't know if he practiced. I expect he didn't. But he's out there with his teammates, and that's phenomenal. But he was out at practice, which is huge. Went from he's all the way back in Texas in Houston to he's all the way in Santa Clara, and he's out there at practice. Tremendous news for the San Francisco 49ers because they need these guys out there as they prepare for the New York Jets on Monday. So Trent Williams comes back, but he's not alone. Brandon Aiyuk makes his debut of the 2024 season, and Aiyuk signed his contract extension last week, and now he's back at practice and reacclimating to 49ers football. Thank goodness that this is a long week of preparation, as today was a bonus practice. With the 49ers playing on Monday, they had extra time. So Kyle Shanahan gets in the bonus practice on Tuesday. The normal process during a normal week, Tuesdays are off days. So they're in on Monday, Tuesday's an off day, Wednesday, Thursday are practices, Fridays, normally a walkthrough, Saturday is your day off. This week is going to be different. Thursday is going to be the first day of practice officially, then Friday, walkthrough on Saturday, day off on Sunday, and then, of course, they play Monday night against the New York Jets. So this kind of allows him to get an extra practice and get acclimated because we know Kyle really wanted Brandon Aiyuk to practice last week so he could go through individual drills and slowly work his way back in the way that they've been doing with Talano Hufanga. Now, Hufanga is a little bit different because he's coming off an injury, but with Brandon Aiyuk, he is having to get back out there and just kind of get used to playing football again, building up the callus of what is normally training camp. And that's going to be one of the concerns for guys like Aiyuk and Trent Williams who are coming in so late. How quickly can they build up a callus to play in the regular season? Now, I expect both of them to play Monday night against the Jets. Nothing so far has led me to believe anything otherwise. It appears that both are in really good shape. And of course, what would you expect? Nothing short of that from these two guys, consummate professionals. In fact, Ayuk has always been out at training camp, always competing and always playing hard. And so he's back out there. I got to see just a tiny bit of his warm ups. He looked pretty good. Trent just kind of hugging it up and talking to people on the side. But they're not the only ones who came back either. Christian McCaffrey makes his long awaited return to practice. And we know this has been completely precaution with Christian McCaffrey. He had a calf strain weeks ago. It feels like it's been forever. And we've seen him work on the side field a little bit, do some running. And he had said in an interview that if the game would have been that weekend, he could have played. So we knew it was precaution, but still getting him back out there and getting him ready to go at 49ers practice is huge. Now that you've got these big three for the 49ers back out there, you're feeling more confident in this 49ers offense, an offense that returns so many starters. The one change, of course, along the offensive line, rookie Dominic Pooney starting in place of John Feliciano. Feliciano on the IR currently, but starting over Spencer Burford as well. So that's the one change. Other than that, the 49ers have every starter back from their Super Bowl run last year, including Jawan Jennings, who wouldn't even be listed as one of the top 11. So they actually return 11 of 12 starters because Jawan Jennings, if you were an 11 personnel, he would be the starter, kind of put him in there. So you could see the 49ers getting healthy at the right time and getting some of their guys back. These big three were very important. But they're not the only one that came back. Jawan Jennings also returned to practice today, which is tremendous news because Jawan's been dealing with an oblique, and oblique injuries can be a little haywire. You don't know exactly how it's going to heal and how it's going to affect you, especially with your upper body movements. And it puts a real strain on you being able to do the things Jawan needs to do. Stretch for footballs, block really tough, right? As soon as you get extended and stretch, it starts hurting. So Jennings coming back to practice is great news. Just like McCaffrey, he's been working on a side field for a while. And the fact he hadn't returned yet was starting to make me feel a little bit nervous about his availability for Monday. And Jawan Jennings is so important to what the 49ers do on offense because you want to get a team into a couple of different situations. Number one, you'd love to get them in their base 4-3 where you can take advantage of McCaffrey and or George Kittle lined up against linebackers or safeties. Those are always advantages 49ers. But then also, if you have a situation where it's better for you to put a team in nickel and run the ball, you need that big blocking body of Jawan Jennings. And Chris Conley's a good blocker. He does a great job. And Jacob Cowing has shown that he can be effective at times, Ronnie Bell as well. But nobody blocks at wide receiver like Jawan Jennings. And I love Brandon Aiyuk, and I think he's a great blocker, but I think Jawan is the best blocking wide receiver in the entire league. And so having him out there and having him be able to be effective and be able to take on nickel corners and create lanes for them to run, and not just nickel corners, but also he's used to sticking his nose in there and taking on defensive linemen, taking on linebackers, and he just gives this 49ers offense a different feel and a different look from what he's able to do. So Jawan coming back is huge for this 49ers offense, and it means they're pretty much at full strength across the board. We've got health. The only thing we don't have is the same right guard. But a lot would argue that Dominic Puni has looked so good this year that even a healthy John Feliciano may not have beat him out. Now, he may not have had the opportunity to start over Feliciano if Feliciano was healthy. Same with Burford. But the fact that he's playing is good news. Dominic Puni's looked really good. And the left guard, Aaron Banks, came back to practice today. He had surgery on his pinky, and we knew the recovery was going to push up against the deadline, but Kyle Shanahan had said he was optimistic. He was going to be available week 1. Well, guess what? He's back at practice, and now we're going to have an entirely different left side of the offensive line than we had over the last 2 preseason games. Of course, those were Nick Sakel and Jalen Moore. They did okay. They competed, they battled, but now we're going to have our starting unit on the left side, Aaron Banks and Trent Williams, and they're going to make things easier for everyone else. Jake Brendel will be at center, Dominic Puni at guard, and Colton McKivitz at right tackle. This is by far the best offensive line the 49ers can put out there. So Banks coming back healthy, tremendously important for the 49ers. And Trent Williams, Aaron Banks coming back is huge. So 49ers feeling more confident with their offensive line. They get their key blocker when it comes to wide receiver in Jawan Jennings. The best offensive player in the league in Christian McCaffrey. He's back there behind. They're starting X receiver in Brandon Aiyuk. All this in just a short amount of time is fantastic. Also, a couple of notes as well. Tatum Bethune returned to practice as well. He had been dealing with a little bit of an injury, and he's coming back. And his ability to get on the field, we'll see what happens when it comes to special teams, if he'll be able to. But the fact that he's back means they've got another body that can practice, especially because a guy like D. Winters did not show up at practice, at least the early part. So no D. Winters. He's still dealing with the ankle. That kind of opens the door for Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles to start, or maybe Curtis Robinson. We'll see how that shakes out, but I think DFF is probably sitting in the head spot there, the pole position for that job. Another player that didn't show up to practice, Etor Gross-Matos, making it more unlikely he's going to be ready to go Monday. Now, we know Leonard Floyd, MCL sprain, was a little bit less than Etor Gross-Matos, which is a lot more severe. And so Gross-Matos was week to week. Leonard Floyd day to day. Floyd's back. But Gross-Matos may not play in this game. 49ers have 3 defensive ends on their practice squad. I believe that it's very likely that Sam Okuwanu could be one of the elevations for the game from the practice squad and be suited up and ready to go as the 4th defensive end for the San Francisco 49ers if Gross-Matos is not available. That is a step back. Gross-Matos is a better player than Sam Okuwanu, but Okuwanu showed flashes and some ability there. Him and Robert Beal would be the Bravo unit behind Leonard Floyd and Nick Bosa. And guess what? You're expected to produce. So those guys would have to. We'll watch, though. If Gross-Matos comes back on Thursday, maybe potentially Gross-Matos could play. But if he doesn't show up Thursday, I think it's unlikely he will play in the game on Monday, and you will see Sam Okuwanu out there. One more note. Running back Isaac Guerendo was working out on the side field. So Guerendo on the side field, getting in some work. He's been dealing with the groin, And yes, a lot of people are getting frustrated with Garendo. He dealt with the hamstring, very serious hamstring injury that happened at the beginning of training camp, day one, in fact. Comes back, looks electric in the Raiders game as a kick returner, ran really well from running back. And then it gets revealed that on the next Monday practice, he kind of tweaked his groin muscle. You got to be careful with those. And so, injuries, not exactly a fun thing for Garendo. So we'll see what that means, if he'll be active for the game or inactive. I think a lot of it, determining factor, is going to be if he handles kickoff returns. If he's supposed to handle those, then he will be active. If he's not, then he won't be. And they will go with Patrick Taylor Jr. instead. So 49ers, great optimism, getting a lot of players back. I expect Garendo as well to be back at some point this week and practicing with the 49ers. So great news. You get the big guys back. Trent Williams, Brandon Aiyuk, Christian McCaffrey, Jawan Jennings, Aaron Banks, all return to practice. 49ers are building towards being ready for the Jets game. I'm super excited about it. Can't wait for it to come up. So thanks everyone for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I really appreciate that. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until then, stay safe. Remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.